Good morning and welcome to Essential Ingredients. I'm your host, Justine Reichman. With me today is Kevin Bressani. Welcome, Kevin.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm super excited to chat with you, learn a little bit about what you do. I know that we're both here in the Bay Area, specifically Marin.
Yes.
So I look forward to getting to meet one of my neighbors too. So
Right.
Kevin, if you would you please introduce yourself and just a title for what you do?
Sure. So my name is Kevin Bressani. I am the owner and head chef at Healthy Roots Chef, which is a private or personal chef service here in the Bay Area.
Awesome. I got to learn more about that on a personal level too. So in the meantime, can you tell me a little bit about your specialty and your background that led you to your company?
Sure. Yeah. So I actually went to school at Bowman College here in Berkeley. It's a school for holistic nutrition and culinary arts. And I became a certified natural chef in 2009. And since then, I've been working as a private chef in the Bay Area for like the last 15 years. And my focus is basically providing clients with healthy meals that are sourced from organic and local ingredients.
Wow, that sounds amazing and like somebody I've been looking for forever.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
the first question that comes to mind is you say local and organic, and sometimes it's a choice, either local or organic. And sometimes if you're going seasonal, you can get local and organic. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on that and how you make your choice for whether it's local or organic when not available together.
Sure. Well, living in Marin County, we are very privileged to have an abundance of local and organic ingredients at our disposal. I generally shop exclusively at an organic grocery store here called Good Earth Natural Foods. And it's like shopping at a farmer's market. In Marin County, we have two main farmers markets, as you know, on Thursdays and Sundays. But as a private chef, I do a lot of my shopping on days that the farmer's market isn't operating. So shopping at Good Earth is literally like shopping at a farmer's market. The same purveyors that are at these local farmers markets are actually selling at Good Earth as well. So when I go to Good Earth, whatever is available is mostly local. They do source some things from Mexico and Southern California in the off season, but I'm specifically looking for as much as possible the local purveyors. So whether that's spinach grown in Bolinas or different kales and oranges in the Bay Area, Brentwood and further out in the Bay Area, there's always local produce available at Good Earth. And if I can't find it there, then I will try and make it to the farmer's market, like on a Thursday or Sunday. But,
so it sounds like you're shopping locally to get both the local and the organic products.
Yes.
And so you're not really choosing local or organic. You're choosing both.
Well, that's being the privilege of being in this area. Yeah, we have that available to us. Yes.
So I'm curious, if you wanted a pineapple and it wasn't in season, but Good Earth gets it from Mexico and it's organic, would you choose a different fruit or vegetable? Or would you?
Well, okay, yes. In that situation, I would. It's also dependent on what my client is requesting. So it's kind of up to them too, because I provide a list of customized menu options for them based on their dietary requests, and then so that's up to them of what they actually choose. So I can steer them in a certain direction, but if someone's really craving pineapple, I'm going to make sure it's an organic pineapple versus conventional. And then there's another opportunity for me and some of my clients I cook in their house. And in that respect, I can choose the menu. And it's also depends on how important that is to them. But most of my clients are familiar with how important seasonal eating can be. So I might opt, instead of the pineapple, maybe doing more of like a citrus salsa or something in that line.
So I know that from what I read before we got to chatting, that you have an interest in food as medicine.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
And so I'd love to hear how that ties into eating seasonally and your philosophy on that.
Okay, sure. Well, I had an opportunity when I was younger to travel around the world a little bit. And I spent some time in Australia as a willing worker on organic farms. And this kind of exposed me to permaculture and the importance of biodiversity and just whatever we're growing. The soil is so important in that process. And as your listeners might know, now we have an issue with even purchasing organic food. It might be produced in a farm that has been over farming, and so that the mineral content of the soil has been depleted. So it really brought to my attention how important soil is into that. And I had another opportunity to experience in terms of food as medicine, a course of a natural healing course in Honduras and Belize. And in that trip, I spent about a month with a few other medical doctors. I was just interested in it. We spent some time with some local healers and local medicine men and women that go into the jungle to forage. And it really kind of showed me that, what we have around us and in our local environment can be utilized for health and nutrition. And so in my work as a chef and my schooling going to Bowman College, I'm really trying to get the freshest ingredients possible. As soon as something is picked, a lot of times it can sit on a truck and then it can get delivered. So shopping at farmers markets is the ideal way to do it, because you know that the farm is producing that food within a day or so and bringing it to market. But I would say I'm looking at freshness as an issue, as obviously organic, biodynamic. But food as your medicine is, in my philosophy, is anything that's not processed. So any food that is wholesome, whole grains, fresh fruits and vegetables. These are things that we should be eating and it's like medicine in your body, and prevents you from having to take drugs. If you're interested in health, you should be eating holistically in that regard.
Can you share a story of the impact it's had on whether it's you or a friend or family or a client, that by changing their diet and eating this way, it's improved the way that they feel or felt?
Sure. Well, I can just speak from my own experience. About 20 years ago, I kind of realized the importance of eating organic. And 15 years ago, I stopped eating gluten and lost about 10 to 15 pounds initially. So that was kind of an interesting wake-up call. And since then, a lot of times people think that gluten-free is the answer to health, but really there's so many gluten-free products out there that have a lot of processed flours like potato starch and things of that nature, cassava flour. These, your body treats that just like it would a processed flour. It turns it to sugar. So for me, it's been more of focusing on whole grains and getting fruits and vegetables into my diet. And I have more energy. I've just felt a shift when I went from that about 15 years ago. It was almost instantaneous. And yeah, it's nice to lose the weight, but having more energy, trying to sleep better, it all was affected by, I think, my dietary changes.
So is that what inspired your interest in food as medicine?
Well, I'd have to go back even further. Food's always been an important part of my life. I come from a family that values gathering around the table, and the food that we eat is really important. And so as a kid, I was kind of a picky eater, but my parents forced me to eat my vegetables, and I really became more interested in that and eating a more wide variety of foods because of that. But yeah, as a kid, I also watched a lot of PBS, like Jacques Pepin and Julia Child, and that really, seeing them cooking on the TV got me excited and hungry to learn more about cooking. And then, so I've always been enjoying the experience of eating. But I think once I was in my 20s, I had a friend that actually was diagnosed with colon cancer at a really young age. And she really kind of helped me to explore what alternatives were available to her, eating and for eating for health. And I think that's kind of was part of my shift as well, thinking, okay, well, what are we putting in our bodies, and what can we do to ensure a longer life. And to me, that was eliminating processed foods, trying to eat organic. And myself, I tend to eat an omnivore type of diet. I think it's important to get a balance of everything. So that's myself. I mean, I know people are really interested in other reasons for eating vegan and vegetarian, but
Plant forward.
What's that?
Plant forward is really
Right.
a big thing now.
I think it's important, but I also think there is an importance for animal protein and fat as well in a smaller amount. It shouldn't be the biggest portion of your meal, but I do think it's important for health as well.
Yeah, I'm really glad you shared that. I mean, I'm a bit of an omnivore myself, and I do like my vegetables. I like to have a meat and a vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
And I've skewed away myself from a lot of the lentils because I find that I don't digest it well.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever experienced that or you have clients that do, but it's not as complicated as I often feel people make it out to be. A
Right.
steak and some spinach is not complicated.
Right. Totally. No, that's actually how I like to eat as well.
And a piece of fish with some, olive oil, salt, garlic, and then some spinach in it or some mushrooms or whatever. Also simple.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the variety is the spice of life, and for our health, that's really important as well. I mean, I think, with the standard American diet, most people are only eating like 5 or 6 different things, whether that's vegetables or fruits or meat. So yeah, I agree. I mean, it's important to have more balance, I think, for our eating approach.
So what made you decide to launch your business?
Okay. Well, after attending Bowman College, I knew that I wanted to be a personal chef. It was an exciting field, I think, because I had worked in restaurants as a younger person, and the stress involved with restaurants was just too much. I wanted a lifestyle that was conducive to my own lifestyle and trying to keep it as stress-free as possible. And also the opportunity to provide individuals and families with healthy meals, to me, was really kind of the motivation, because it's like I was saying earlier, it's like how I like to eat as well. Mm-hmm. And so I was already doing it for myself. And if I could turn that into a business where I was helping other people at the same time, that was really exciting to me. And at the other side of it too, I have some clients that are interested in eating healthy, but they also have kids and a busy career. And so for them, the benefit of my service is just having sharing a meal with their family where they know that it was prepared in a healthy way, and they don't have to do any of the shopping. They don't have to do any of the cooking. They can just sit down, pop the glass container in the oven, reheat it, and share it with their family. And to me, that's really important. I think as busy as we've gotten in our society, we've kind of gotten away from that focal point of for the meal and centering around the meal and having the family come together. And I've had more and more clients tell me just how much they appreciate that aspect of it as well.
Are there many clients that you feel have really changed the way that they eat while working with you?
Definitely. I've had many clients lose weight. I've had many clients really reduce some of their health issues that they've been working on. And yeah, the feedback has been really positive, definitely.
Are there any statistics that you found or that you know of that talk about the impact of how we eat on our health?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think if you look at lots of articles and all kinds of medical journals, I mean, I think the people are now realizing, I think in the past it was, you went to the doctor for certain ailment and they might give you a pill or something to take, and that's still part of our culture. But I think more and more, even our medical community is now realizing the importance of nutrition as it affects our health. I mean, I can just speak from my own experience. My own doctor, has recently shared with me that I need to exercise a little bit more. And I'm in my mid 40s, and to me, I had the healthy eating part right, but just, the exercise in conjunction with that is also important. So yeah, no, I think there are definitely there's a lot more awareness around eating for health.
Yeah, I would say so. Are there any anecdotes from your clients that you work with that maybe you could share?
Um, Put me on the spot. Nothing that really comes to mind. I mean, just like I said earlier, the positive feedback of people saying that they feel better about, they have more energy when they're eating like this. And for example, one client told me recently, before working with me, they would order from DoorDash and things like that because it's convenient, right? You're eating from a restaurant, but see that restaurant is not necessarily putting your health front and center. I mean, they're
Right. Who knows what kind of oil they're using? Who knows
exactly
where they're getting
yeah,
their produce? Is it
right,
organic? Is it not organic?
right. And it
Etc.
might taste really delicious. I'm sure it tastes good, and that's why, and it's convenient for people. But as soon as they started using my service, they noticed that they were losing a little bit of weight. They had more energy, and when you turn, in terms of the cost, I mean, it's having a private chef cook for you isn't the cheapest thing you can do. But what he was telling me was that he was spending nearly the same amount on all of his DoorDash orders,
Well,
uh,
that
that
was my
than
next
having
question.
me cook for him. So really, when you kind of weigh it out, it's not that much more expensive, really.
So that was one of my questions that I was really curious about. How accessible is this for the person that does, order DoorDash and caviar, all the time?
Yeah,
Can you do, like, if you were to do, I don't know, 3 days worth of meals or 5 days worth of meals from you? What would that range? Obviously, it depends on what people are getting. If they're getting filet mignon versus chicken, it's going to be more expensive. But is there something that you could maybe share in terms of how that compares to ordering out versus cooking for yourself at home?
sure. Well, I think it obviously makes a difference too if it's a family of four versus like one person.
Right.
But yeah, and we all know that groceries have gotten more expensive
Hmm.
across the board. I mean, especially if you're trying to get organic produce and meats and seafood. But without going into like specifics, because it kind of just depends on, when I
Right.
talk to a client. But I would say it's very close. But it is a little bit more expensive using a private chef.
Yeah.
But if you value that you're getting more, health a healthy meal versus just something that tastes good, then I think it kind of depends on what your goals are, what your values are. If you just want that, tasty meal delivered and convenient, then you're going to stick to DoorDash. But if health is a concern for you, then it might cost you a little bit more. I don't have the exact numbers in terms
Of
of the
course.
difference, but just what he was telling me was that it really wasn't that much more expensive using my service than ordering DoorDash for every meal. And the benefit is that it's much, much healthier.
Right. Of course. So
Right.
you've been doing this for how long now?
About 15 years.
About 15 years. And so I'm sure things have changed and evolved over those times. What are you, in the next 3 to 5 years, are you hoping to evolve or change or offer different services that we can expect to see?
Yeah, I'm actually looking to expand just in my own business right now, hiring more help. Right now, I currently cook out of a commercial kitchen a few days a week for my clients, and so expanding my clientele and kind of getting myself, because I'm still doing a lot of the cooking myself. So my plan in the next 3 to 5 years is to be able to hire a little bit more help and to be able to menu plan for clients more, because I often have requests for people to kind of plan out their menu and work on maybe more of like the calorie counting side and I just don't have the time to do that right now. So that
Right.
could be a benefit for clients to do a little bit more in-depth work with them. And then also I've always kind of had in the back of my mind a development of a product, a healthy product. Like myself, I know that we're always on the go, and like for example, I go to the grocery store and I might pick up like a piece of jerky or something, or grass-fed organic jerky, and then I'm like, well, where's the vegetable part of that? So I feel like there's a space there, which could be. I'm kind of looking in that sphere of pick up and go, but made from real food, not processed. or even dehydrated food, just
Well,
trying.
that came to mind for me, dehydrated kale, when you said that.
Right, which it's already being done, but something that has that, because it's really important I think for people when they eat is the mouthfeel, the texture.
Mm-hmm.
Is it nutritious? Does it taste good? These are all things people think about. And I myself, when I'm looking for that quick snack on the go, and you kind of have to piecemeal it together. So I'm kind of in the works, trying to figure out maybe some type of a healthy product to put onto the market as well.
Have you ever created a healthy product before?
No, I've dabbled a little bit. I mean, I create my own dressings and things from everything I make is from scratch for clients. But yeah, in the kind of grab and go sphere is new for me.
So CPG or, whatever you're going to create is going to be a whole new entity. So
Yes.
It's a new endeavor.
Yes.
So what are you, how do you feel about that process that's going to be coming down the line that's completely different than everything you've been done? Do you feel prepared for it?
It's exciting. Probably not prepared as much as I should be. Right now, I'm just kind of researching what is currently available, and I'm doing some experimenting at home, just with my own on my own time, trying to see what would work best. But I'm excited because I feel like there's always room for something better out there.
Are there any resources you wish you had access to while you're building this?
Yes, I mean it'd be great to maybe work with another partner or entity to try and brainstorm and come up. So I'm definitely open to partnerships, both creatively and financially for that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciated getting to learn about you, what you do, and I can't wait to talk to you further and see if we can get some meals here at my house.
Oh yeah, anytime. No, feel free to give me a call. Yeah, I appreciate your time. Thank you, Justine.
So if anyone wanted to get in touch with you, obviously on a local level, even though this is a global podcast, what's the best way to connect?
So you can check out my website is Healthy Roots Chef. That's Healthy Roots Chef, all one word, at healthyrootschef.com. Or you could email me at healthyrootschef@gmail.com.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kevin.
Thank you.